If you're a fan of the NBA, these last 24 hours have been just absolute craziness. The Howard University Bison were picked to finish 8 out of 9 teams in the MEAC this season. Welcome back to the Baseball Show. I'm Brian Jackson. Long before the steroid era, the biggest knock on baseball was the game's slow pace. And UVA is off this week, and they really struggled last week against Oregon, as expected. You're probably wondering why I'm standing here with a pack of diapers, and, well, I promise you it's for a good reason. Offensively, you all like to pass the ball a lot now. Yeah. The conditions out here are starting to get pretty bad. How is that going to affect you all offensively?
We'll stick with our plan, Brian.
Kyle Juszczyk was a two-time All-American tight end and H-back at Harvard, where he caught 125 passes for 22 touchdowns. But the Ravens drafted him to be more of a traditional fullback, and it's a label he's not willing to accept just yet.
It doesn't bother me because I guess I just recently have been labeled a fullback, so it hasn't hit me too hard yet. And but I'm not really that traditional fullback, so I don't take it personally.
That role of traditional fullback has belonged to Vontae Leach the past 2 seasons. The All-Pro has paved the way for back-to-back Pro Bowl years for Ray Rice, but Leach also has a $3 million base salary for this upcoming season, and if the Ravens can't find a way to restructure his deal, there may not be room for both Leach and Juszczyk.
I think that's what professional football is. You're always competing for a job. But who knows? I feel like we're 2 different players, so there might be 2 different roles for us there.
Ravens president Ozzie Newsome has always stressed competition, and as he told me, right now we don't have to make any decisions at all. When it comes down to it, we're going to make a decision based on what happens on the football field. With the Ravens, Brian Jackson for CSNBaltimore.com. The leather echo of boxing gloves resonates across culture and religion.
Boxing is a one-on-one sport. It's just like living. When the kids go out in the street, he's by himself. Well, it's the same thing with boxing. When the bell rings, you're by yourself.
The discipline and work ethic boxing breeds serves as a cornerstone for tolerance.
We're reaching out, hopefully, to not only impact the lives of the people in our community, also that the kids can get an education and see how much alike we all are.
Nice. Do it again.
The first annual Belfast Beltway Boxing Classic is uniting kids from Northern Ireland and Washington, D.C. for an exhibition bout.
I think it's the first time Muslims actually left the Belfast area, and they're so excited. I think it's better than Christmas for them, actually.
Far better than Christmas, so much. They'll be able to share camaraderie, see other people from other countries. It's just a wonderful thing for the sport.
The kids from Northern Ireland, many of whom have never left their own neighborhoods, are getting a chance to learn and grow, both inside and outside of the ring.
Where we come from, Northern Ireland, a lot of conflict over the troubles of Catholic and Protestant. So we've actually got kids from both communities here, Catholic and Protestant. So it's actually, they're building a friendship outside boxing now too. So it's actually a lot more than just boxing.
Everyone is here for the main event, and the handpicked group from D.C. is brimming with confidence.
All my guys are quite a few notches above them all.
And if the ferocity in which the matches were decided mirrors what happens in the ring, Fight Night will be well worth the 3,000-mile plus trip. Welcome back to the Baseball Show. I'm Brian Jackson. The Braves and Nats, like most divisional rivals, they just flat out don't like each other. But on Tuesday, that animosity spilled over from the diamond to Twitterverse. Last season, the Washington Wizards finished with a record of 29-53 and were slotted to pick 8 in the NBA draft. But on draft lottery night, they got a bit lucky and jumped up 5 spots and will now pick at number 3. I'm Brian Jackson, joined by our Wizards analysts Jay Michael and Ben Standig. And Jay, the first question that the Wizards really has to be on their mind is, should they be drafting for need or for the best player available?
You got to take the best player available.
And I'm CSN Washington's Brian Jackson. I'm here taking your texts, tweets, and emails. So what I need you to do is this. Text in the letters TCD and your thoughts to 68683, and you could see them scrolling right there along the bottom of your screen. Welcome back to the Baseball Show. I'm Brian Jackson. Social media gives fans a peek into the lives of their favorite players when they're not on the field. So we asked, who's your favorite player to follow on Twitter and why? Proud Yank Fan admitted that he's a full-out Yankees fan, but says that any baseball fan should follow simply AJ10, also known as Orioles center fielder Adam Jones, because he's a hungry man. Big Jake Rose agrees. All he talks about is staying hungry and posting pictures of food. Speaking of which, Jones is a self-described foodie, whether it's enjoying a fractured prune donut or his own burger called the Simply AJ10. His burger namesake comes complete with Kobe beef on an English muffin with pepper jack cheese, avocado, bacon, and a chili mayo with a side of tater tots and cheese. As for the Nationals, @Mount_Townsend nominated Nats center fielder Denard Span because he wrote her back on Twitter once. Span even wrote me back on Twitter. While on a bus to Philly, he said he was listening to the new Big Sean album, so I asked him what were his favorite tracks. One of the songs he listed is called All Figured Out, and it may have taken longer than expected, but Span seems to have finally figured out National League pitching because he's hitting over 400 in the month of September. And UVA is off this week, and they really struggled last week against Oregon, as expected. But, JP, at this point of the season, what's the bigger concern, their offense or their defense?
You know, it's pretty tough to say that the defense is the lesser concern considering they just gave up 59 points to Oregon.
Duki's trying to avoid their third straight loss, visiting St. John's at Madison Square Garden. First half, Devils up 8 off the turnover. Lance Thomas falls down but gets it down court for Elliott Williams, and the freshman lays it in. Duke up 11 at the half. Second half, Red Storm make a run. DJ Kennedy with the steal and takes it all the way for 2 of his team-high 20. St. John's within 7. But the Dukies would pull away. It's Williams again off the inbounds. He makes a move and throws it down with some authority. Devils snapped a 2-game losing streak, 76-69 the final. Now, earlier this week, you all spent your time at the White House and you got a chance to meet President Obama. Were you reluctant at all to hand over your number 10 jersey to the president?
If only that was really the number 10 jersey.
Brian Jackson, there are more than just a lot of fans watching Jonathan Grimes play here today in Richmond.
That's right, Bob. Earlier, before today's game, I caught up with an NFL scout that was here, and he said that it's clear that Grimes is above and beyond one of the best NFL prospects for the CAA this season. And obviously, Grimes doesn't have the size for most prototypical running backs, but as the scout told me, you can't really argue with his production. How do you feel you guys are gelling there through the first 45 minutes?
I think we're doing all right defensively. I mean, they're a counterattacking team.
Coach, when we talked before the game, you said that you really only wanted to pass the ball 15 or 16 times, and you've already exceeded that number. So how would you assess the play of your quarterback so far?
You know, we haven't had any rhythm in the running game, so, you know, his passes have been high.
Coach Sally said he really only wanted to pass the ball about 15 or 16 times coming into this game, but you all ended up passing the ball over 20 times. So what does that say about the confidence he has in you?
I definitely think he has a lot of confidence in me.
In the first half there, you all trailed by as many as 9, but you really mixed in the zone defense there in the second half. Do you think that turned the momentum in you all's favor?
Definitely. I think Coach did a great job of making us make changes.
Brian Jackson was trying to listen in to what Trudy Lacey had to say. What do you got, Brian?
Right. What you can look for here coming out of this timeout is they're going to drop a horn set to try to get the ball to Crystal Langhorne. And if she's not open off that horn set, she's going to go with a dribble handoff with Mo Curry. So look for that coming out of this timeout. Back to you, Frank.
Inside access right there. Thank you, Brian. All right, 16 to shoot for the Mystic.
That's exactly what Brian Jackson said they were going to run. They had the horn set. Langhorne didn't have it, handed it off to Curry.